Hello, everyone. Good morning. All right, I'm seeing here attendees joining us. Excellent. My name is Giselle Silva. I'm part here of the marketing team at PlanHub. Together, we have our great product team. Allow me to present. We have Darius. Darius,
Hi, everyone.
Hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for being with us. We also have our expert behind the scenes, Jeff. He is part of our development team. He'll be helping us answer any technical questions. So let's go ahead and do a quick icebreaker. We're going to allow a couple more seconds for additional attendees to join the webinar. In the message center, can you please go ahead and state which state and location are you located from? As we know, PlanHub, we service nationwide. In these webinars, we have attendees from all over the country, Texas and Florida, North Carolina, California, really from all over. So if you want to provide feedback as to where you're located, I'll go ahead and provide a quick shout out. Let's see here. Darius, where are you located at?
In South Florida, Boca Raton to be exact.
Nice, the beautiful area. All right, we have attendees joining right now. Perfect. All right, excellent. All right, so nevertheless, let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're here to review the new Takeoff Core feature by PlanHub. We've known based on user studies and research that, well, what the title says, right, is traditional takeoff methods, is it slowing you down? And today, together with the PlanHub team, we're going to learn exactly how innovative the takeoff tool feature is and how you can have more efficiency and ultimately save more time. As we know, we have our speakers here, Darius, we have Jeff. We're going to be collaborating today in today's webinar, and we're going to answer any questions that you might have towards the end of the presentation. Please feel free to use the Q&A section to ask any questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Our first poll. So how many tools do you use to manage pre-construction and bid management? On your screen, you're going to receive a form. Excuse me. Go ahead and select the option that corresponds with your current processes and company. This information allows us to dig in deeper to see what the market says, and based on your responses, well, we develop the tools that you need to boost efficiency and just become more productive overall. So I'm seeing here, thank you so much. All right, we are at 60% participation rate. We're getting feedback that, let's see, it's between 1 and 3 tools. It is changing now. Now we're at 84 participation rate. This is fantastic. Okay, so what we're seeing in our findings is that it's really even. So we have 36%, and you're like, well, I only use 1 tool. 27%, I use only 2 tools, and 32% of subcontractors are utilizing 3 tools to manage, right, the pre-construction bid management. Thank you so much for your responses. We're going to learn how you can ease the process, and you just need 1. So stay around and stay tuned for that. All right, perfect. And let's see, we have a second poll. This question is, how do you put together takeoffs? And you're also going to receive the poll selection on your screen. And we have options such as, well, do you manually, measure your by printing plans, or do you use a digital standalone tool? And how about an integrated to bid management solution, right? So again, all of these findings will help us build a story together with your participation today. Let's see where we are at. So about 50% of today's attendees say that they're actually manually measuring their takeoff process. We have 38% that are exploring digital standalone tools. and only a 9%, the small group, have an integrated bid management solution platform. So definitely for the 45%, we encourage you to really stay tuned and take a look at how Takeoff Core is just going to save you tons of time, provide you precise measurements just in minutes. So let's go ahead and proceed. So why do PlanHub develop, right, Takeoff Core? Well, we learned that there are three major pain points in the industry. As well, we just learned 45% of today's attendees, and of course it's much more, they're saying that, well, I'm doing manual takeoff measurements and it can lead to human error. It can lead to mistakes, paper and pen. It is not practical now in today's remote life, right? And in environments to pass on information. And desktop software, well, it's really less convenient, right? Sometimes it's not as secure, and you can collaborate with your team and engage with your team when you want to share information and measurements. And also we've seen that, well, for those subcontractors that do want to give digital takeoff solutions a chance, most of the takeoff solutions are very pricey and not affordable. So not affordable, less, collaborative ways how to share information, and manual measurements, well, it's human error. Those three pain points we have identified here in PlanHub. And today, in today's webinar, we're going to learn the beauty and benefits of why Takeoff Core is going to be the and the biggest solution for creating new measurements, precise. I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton to our product manager, Darius, where he's going to talk more about the 8 new features that are included in Takeoff Core.
All right. Thanks a lot, Giselle. Right. So as Giselle explained, we developed Takeoff Core to be a solution that will help you optimize the way you do takeoffs. First of all, as a general contractor, in the near future, you'll have a dashboard. So any takeoff that you'll start out, you'll have a single page that you'll go to, and you'll see all the projects where you're started a takeoff right on that particular page. You can even take projects that, as a general contractor, you may not have posted that project in PlanHub to get bids from subcontractors. And it could be a project that you've already are in the process of working, and you need to get a takeoff measurement on it. You can upload that and then do your takeoffs on it without any problems. We have customizable settings for all the various different tools, so you can control the colors, the saturation of, let's say, for example, the opacity for the lines and the fills. So you can tell, let's say, for example, if you're measuring the surface area of a room to get the square footage, and in an apartment building, there's an adjacent room, you can change the colors there so you can see them individually. We've spent a lot of time and effort on improving the UX. So as you engage with the tool, it'll be easier and more friendly for you to use. And some of our tools, we made them like a Swiss Army knife. For example, our wall tool. Not only can you get the measurement, the linear measurement of a wall, but you can get its surface area. And if you have studs in there, if you just basically put in how many studs on center, it'll calculate how many studs you need. If you have masonry units in that wall, it can calculate how many masonry units, and also drywall. If you need to know, okay, well, I've got, this is an interior partition, I've got drywall on both sides. You'll put in 2 layers, you'll pick between the standard drywall sizes, and it'll calculate for you how many drywall pieces you need. So additionally, the one thing that we've done is we've also realized that when you're working in Plan and looking at drawings, for example, it's basically looking top down. Most of the times, the lines that you draw are going to be either horizontal or vertical. So we've created this ortho capability that allows you to draw those perfect horizontal and vertical lines. And these lines also snap at 22.5 degrees. That enables you to basically do takeoffs faster. However, if you're looking at a site plan, which I'll demonstrate, you won't have perfect lines. So we also give you the freedom to basically draw that line at any angle that you need with our ortho tool. And also another tool that we have, which is like the area tool, that's also a Swiss Army knife, because not only do you get the area of, let's say, for example, you're measuring the surface area of a room or a specific area. Not only you get the surface area in square footage, but you also get the linear footage for the perimeter. So imagine if somebody had to calculate, well, not only do I need to put flooring in this particular room, but I also need to account for the baseboards that will go in there, right? That one tool will do it for you. All right. Having
Perfect.
said that,
Thank you, Darius. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's take a dive alongside Darius and his expertise. We're going to see more in depth of how the Takeoff tool or Takeoff Core works, along with its 8 features. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, Darius, and you can go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
all right. So I've already shared my desktop, and it seems like, for at least from my side, you guys can see my desktop. So this is our Takeoff tool. I am logged in as one of the accounts that we have to do demos in production. You can see that for our general contractors out there, the global navigation here looks very familiar. This is the global navigation that you're used to. Currently, the way you'll get into Takeoff is simply you'll go to your projects. Okay, let me show you the pathway there. I'll come into my projects. I go to my documents, and right here, as long as you have a PDF file under this button, you'll have the options of either exporting those files to Takeoff or opening it. I've already exported the files, so all I have to do is just basically click on Open Takeoff. And then Takeoff will open on the particular files for that particular project. As you can see, my project name is up here, and I have 2 tabs. This is our drawing, what I would call our drawing window, where we do our takeoffs and where we have our tools. And this other tab is a table that shows you all your project measurements across all of the pages in your project. Why don't we go ahead and get started with using the tool? First, one of the things that I like to show you is these panes on the right and on the left-hand side of the tool. Previously, they were always static and they would be there. What we've done is we've made it collapsible so that when you're actually inside of a drawing and you're doing takeoffs, you have more real estate, more screen surface to actually look at that drawing, and I'll demonstrate that in a bit. Additionally, when you look at your different files, your PDF files that could have multiple pages, we've also implemented a way for you to, for example, use what we call a carousel view. By clicking on this carousel view, you can actually paginate through the pages and see the details of what's inside that page before you go into it. So I'm going to go back to my list view. Another thing that I'd like to show you is the fact that you can rename these sheets. So I'm going to go to the carousel view. Okay. And one thing I like to do, you see this sheet is called SP00. I can come in here and type in SP00. Okay. Now I go to the next sheet. This next sheet is SP01. So I'll type in here SP01. Oh. And let me get that P as a capital. I like to be nice and tidy when I do things. Okay. And then I'll go to the next sheet and it's called SP02. I'll go here and I'll call this SP02. Now that I've done this, just a quick little refresh. And we'll see all my sheets are called SP02, SP01, SP through SP02, right? And the same thing here. One thing that you can do is also rearrange your sheets. For example, if this is the sheet that I most commonly work on, let's say, for example, you have a file that has 30 sheets in it. The sheets that you work on, you can basically rearrange them in any order that you want. So why don't we go ahead and I'm going to dive into one of the sheets that has a site plan, right? So I can go in here and I'm going to say, okay, this is the sheet that I want to work in, right? So now I'm actually inside the tool and I can start working on it. One of the first things that you have to do before you take measurements on any particular plan is to set the scale on it. So typically what I look for is this particular scale here. You have the options of setting the scales using standard scale sizes, or you can even enter a specific scale, and I'll show you both ways. What I do is right now I'm going to hold down my right mouse click. Okay, that's a quick shortcut to pan, to grab and pan that sheet around. Okay, I'm going to position this here. Next, I'm going to go to my scale tool. You see, you have both calibrated and standard. If you go to the standard and you use a drop down, you can scroll down, and you'll have, see, 1 inch equals 80. Okay, you want to set that scale. This little marker here shows me that the scale has been set. And here, I want to show you the accuracy of our tool. So if I go here and I go to there, and by the way, this is the ortho functionality. You see how that line is snapping at 22.5 degrees. This is going to save you a lot of time when you're doing drawings on pure vertical and horizontal lines. Right now, I held down the space bar and I can freely draw it at any angle that I want. I'm going to let go of the space bar. It's going to go back to ortho functionality. If I zoom in, I can get more accuracy. I'll drop my dot there. You see, that's 80 feet, 1 inch, 0.21 inches. For doing takeoffs and estimations, that is pretty good. Okay. I'm going to just select that and I'm going to delete my measurements there. I'm going to show you how I can change the scale to a calibrated scale. Okay. Here, I'm going to say that the line I'm going to draw is 80 feet. Maybe I'll actually do 160 feet because I have the whole entire scale marker. So I'll zoom in a bit here, click there, and I'll go there, right? So now, from this end to that end is 160 feet. If I take my ruler again, right, and let's say I measure from here to there, you see, it's about 159 feet, 9 inches, 81. Still pretty close to do takeoffs and measurements on a very large site plan. Okay, just going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to keep this particular calibrated tool measurement. And then on this site plan, I'm going to use some of the tools that you may commonly use on a site plan. Remember, I said that on a site plan, you won't get exact vertical and horizontal lines always, and you'll need to use that space bar. So what are some of the things that you could use on a site plan? For example, if I had to dig a trench beneath one of these slabs, I can use the volume tool, and I'll just simply use the linear functionality, and I'll enter the depth. I'll say maybe it's 24 inches wide, deep, and it's 36 inches wide. I'll put my set there. Imagine this is some kind of trench we're going to draw for, I don't know, sewage or something like that. I'm just going to go from here to there. I'm holding down the space bar so I can draw this at any angle. I'm going to go from here to there, click. Once I've clicked, I'll hit the return key. Okay. And you can see here on the left-hand side, I've got my volume linear measurement. It's 42 cubic yards. That's how much volume it needed. I'm just going to rename this, call it trench. Okay. I want to show you something else. I'll come over here, see my measurement trench shows up on this table. Okay. I can, under the column location, I can click on it. It'll take me back to exactly where I was. Okay. Again, I just held down the right mouse click to pan around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same exact volume tool. Okay. But this time I'm going to go to area and I'm going to say depth 4 inches. I am going to measure the size or the area of this particular slab Let's say I'm putting a 4-inch slab right there, right? So I come back out. I'm not done yet. I got to hit that return key. Boom, right? And you can see volume area. I'll go there, rename it, and I'll call it slab. Maybe I'll call it slab 1. Okay, 388 cubic yards is required there. I'm going to show you a few things, such as customizing the fill. I can change the color on the fill. I can change its opacity. For example, I made it purely solid, or I made it more transparent. I can change the color of the stroke. Maybe I want that line to be yellow. I can also change that stroke's opacity as well. Okay. Additionally, I can even change the pattern. You see, I made it a polka dot pattern. Maybe what I'll do, because it doesn't stand up so clearly, I'll increase the opacity of that. Boom, right? So you can even customize how you want each particular area to appear. If I go to project measurements, you see, I also have that slab here as well. Okay, I'll click back on there and I go back to my drawing. These are some of the tools that you typically will use. Let's say, for example, on a site plan. Another tool that you could use on a site plan is also, let's say, for example, this slope tool. I can use this slope tool to figure out the pitch and the surface. If I know the pitch, I can figure out the surface area of a roof. Okay. So let's say, for example, this roof's pitch is 4 of 12, right? I'll go set. I'll go click here. Now, it's pretty, this is where I can demonstrate to you, right, the use of that ortho, because that McDonald's is situated pretty much horizontal, vertical. I didn't have to hold down the space bar. It just basically click, 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 right? The lines follow the area, and you can see it got the square footage, right? Based on a 4 by 12 pitch. I'm going to rename that, called it Mickey D's roof, right? I'll come back here, project measurements. You can see Mickey D's roof here. It's basically 5,500 square feet, thereabouts. I'll click there, I'm back. Another use you can make out of the slope tool is, what if you wanted to pitch, you wanted to measure the distance of, say, of a linear line that also had a slope. You can do that by using the linear option. I'll set this to something like maybe 612. It's set. And then let's just imagine, for example, in plan, you can't see the slope, right? Because it's just basically, you're looking at it in plan. You can't see where there's the low side, where is the high side, right? But by putting in the pitch, we see that says 96.47 feet. And I'm going to demonstrate something to you. If I were to just, if I thought it was just linear, right? And I do that, see, it would be 86 feet. Whereas by having the pitch in there, you get the true length of that line. All right. Now I'm going to go to a different sheet. I'm going to go to this sheet. This sheet is an architectural plan for an apartment building. And I'm going to demonstrate to you how I'm going to basically do a little bit of a takeoff on this one. So you see the scale it's set here, 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. Before you take a measurement, you got to set the scale. You can start your measurements, but you will get nothing. It'll just basically say 0. But if you set the scale afterwards, then the measurements will populate them. Best practice, what I like to do is always go set the measurement, set the scale starting out. So I'm going to go standard, choose amongst all of these standard ones. 1/8 is by default the one. If I have a lot of sheets and they all are 1/8 to 1/8 of an inch to a foot, I can say apply to all plan sheets. So there you go. My scale is set. I know it because I've got that little protractor right there. So now, again, one of the things that I like to do, you can also pan a sheet by going and using that tool, I particularly like to use the right mouse click and hold down because that saves me a lot of time. Now, I'm going to go into this section. Okay, and one of the first tools I'm going to use is going to be the count tool. I'm going to come in here, rename this count, call it actually I'll put DEL sync for vanity, right? Now, I hit continue measuring, okay? Drop one there, drop one there. Okay, so I'll look for where those holds. I can delete that one. I just dropped one accidentally. I can delete it. You see it went from 3 to 2, right? Now I'm going to look for more double syncs. There's one other set here. I'll say continue measuring. I'll click here, click here, click here, click here. Hold down the right mouse click here, click here, click here, click here. Hold down the right mouse click here, click here. Okay. I just basically very quickly went just on the north side of that building and I got 12 double vanity sinks measured up, right? So now, what about single sinks? So I'm going to come over here, do that. So I get another count. I'm going to rename that measurement. I'm going to say single, SNGL, sink vanity. Okay. So now I'm going to come in here. I'll hit continue measuring. Okay. Look for those single ones. See, gives me even a different color, right? Click here, drag it over, click here. Okay. Do I see another one? Okay. I do see a kitchen sink, but I didn't see like a bathroom vanity. So I'm going to skip that one. Here's another one. I love apartment buildings because they mirror things. So it's easy to see what you're doing, right? 10. If I come up with an even number, I think I'm good, right? Now, one thing I want to show you is between these two sheets that I did measurements on, when you're looking at a particular sheet, you only see the measurements for that sheet, right? And I can expand these to see what's underneath them, okay? If I go to this one, I'll only see the counts that I did for those vanity sinks. If I come to my project measurements, I see it all here, okay? If I click on this floor plan, it'll take me back to my floor plan. All right, so I showed you how we can use counts. I'm also going to show you the area tool. Very simply, I'm going to click here and check it out because that ortho capability just is going to save me a lot of time. All I have to do is just zoom in, zoom out, grab the sheet with my right mouse click. Sometimes I zoom in and zoom out really fast. That's okay. I'll come here, come there. I'll go over there, go over there. I should have gone all the way down here. That's okay. I got it. Come down here. Looks like I'm all good. So I'm just going to hit the return key and check that out. I got the square footages for that one particular area. I'm going to rename that. Going to go MST bedroom. Right? I've got the square footage here. I've also got the linear feet here. So I know how much surface area I've got, and I know the perimeter. If I go to object measurements, here you see MST bedroom area, 265 square feet. MST bedroom perimeter, 106 linear feet. So, aha, I didn't do this. Okay, so now that's the linear foot. That's the square footage. Okay, so the next one I want to show you. Okay, we can take linear measurements. What if I wanted to know what's the distance from here to here? And instead of using the ruler, I just actually really need to know that distance, and I need to have it in my takeoff. You can use the linear measurement and it will show up. Now I'm going to use the wall tool. Okay. This wall tool, well, I'm going to also show you the segment. Segment tool is pretty cool. because it's like the linear measurement. I can go from here to here, click, but you see, I'm going to skip this room. And I'm going to go from here to here, right? And with the segment tool, I can take linear measurements, 3 different segments, but you can see it totaled it all, right? Now I'm going to go to use the wall tool. Okay, now with the wall tool, I'm going to say this is a fancy new apartment with 9 feet high walls. Okay, and interior partition. Okay, I'm going to have drywall on both sides, 2 layers, both sides of the wall. Okay, and because it's 9 feet, I'm going to go use 4x10 sheets. Okay, and it's got metal studs. And I'm going to say the metal studs are 18 inches on center. Okay, I'm going to hit set. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to measure from this point to this point. Maybe I'll even do this. Here we go. Got the wall area. You got the square footage for the wall, one side, right? But then we calculated you're going to need 10 metal studs at 18 inches on center. Okay, and you're going to need 8 sheets or 4x10 drywall to completely cover that whole entire both sides of that wall. And the linear feet it's 9 by 14.43 linear feet. If I go to the project measurements, I see all that information here, nice and neat as well. Okay, I can see the dimensions of the wall, 9 by 14 feet, square footage, 18 inches apart, metal studs. I need 10 of them. Okay, drywall. I need 2 layers of 4x10, and I will need 8. I'll click on the name of the sheet, and then I'm back to where I drew that particular item. Now, so of the things that I can do, I can drop text. And click here. Darius makes a note. And click out, and then I can click this, drag it out. I can place it where I want. Okay. And if I need to create a markup, let's say, for example, there's something interesting about these bifold doors, I can do that, right? And I can come here, and if I wanted to let somebody know something specific to it, I can go there. I can put a text. Okay. I want to say something miscellaneous, bifold doors. Okay, click that, click here, drag this out. Then I can put that there somewhere where folks can easily see it. Now, I think I ran through everything actually. So, just as a recap, when you want to do a takeoff on a project, you can go to your project files. As long as they're a PDF file, you can use the drop-down actions. The very first thing that you have to do is export it to Takeoff, and then after it, which will open it up automatically in Takeoff. And then you can always access it by opening Takeoff here. Very soon, in the near future, for general contractors, we'll also have a Takeoff page by itself. I referred to this earlier. Whenever you do a takeoff on a project, all those projects will be listed there.
Hey,
Then,
Darius,
yes.
real quick, did you show the wall tool? Yes, the wall. You did previously show the wall tool, where you can show the square footage of the wall. We had a question about that.
Yeah, I did right here.
Okay. Okay. That's the total square foot dimension. Okay.
Yeah. So once we're here, you can rename your sheets. You can arrange them as you see fit. For example, this was the one that I was doing measurements on. So I'll bring it to the very top. I'll click on it. I'll enter it. I can see it here. Okay. This was the sheet where I demonstrated the slope tool, both surface area and linear. Okay. I also demonstrated the volume tool. You can, let's say, for example, if you wanted to do a trench and you knew the direction of the starting point, ending point direction, you just basically put in the width and the depth. It automatically calculates it for you right there. You want to measure slabs, you can calculate it by just simply drawing the points. Another thing that we can do is, let's say, for example, if you wanted to, if you have lots of these on your drawings and you wanted to know where they are, you can click on that and it just kind of like pops that at you, right? I'll also show you that with the McDonald's roof. You can click on that and you see it's kind of popping out at you. You can also hide them from view, right? If you've done a bunch of them and you don't want to see them, you can hide them from your view by clicking these icons, and then you can click those icons to bring them back in view as well. You can do the same here. If there's a sheet that you no longer want to see, you have two options. You can either delete it, which is kind of a permanent thing, or you can hide it from your view. Okay. When you hide it from your view, it's still, you see it here, so you know it's there. But you can also click on this toggle to show everything, and you can bring them back, right? So if I click on these, they're moving around because of the names. But if I click on that, it works. And see, I can show them again. We put the carousel view there so that you can go look at the details of a sheet and say, yep, that's the sheet that I want to work on. And just by double clicking on that sheet, you then enter it. And then you can start doing your takeoffs there. And then when we did the floor plan, we went through, showed you how you can do the square surface area and get the square footage. Additionally, the linear feet of the perimeter of that shape. Now that's a pretty complex shape, right? And just in one go, I got both the square footage and the linear footage. Here, this one I'm gonna hide it so you can see the counts for the double sinks, right? That I did with the count tool. And you can see that I did it for the single vanities as well. And if you hover over these things, it'll also give you counts as well. If I bring the surface area tool back and I hover over it, at a glance, you can see the information for it as well. We showed you the wall tool here. This is the, I actually clicked on one of the texts that I put. Here's the wall tool. If you hover over it, it'll tell you the square footage, total height, linear feet. If you come over here, expand, you can also see, for example, how many metal studs, how many drywall. I'm going to show you one additional thing about the wall tool, which I also think it's pretty cool. I'm going to just do it on this little bit here. I'm going to go to the wall tool. I'm going to say this one, because it's exterior 10 feet high. Okay, I'm going to click add wall type. I'm going to say this wall also has masonry unit. Standard masonry unit size, CMU, concrete masonry unit, 8 by 12. It's set. I'll go from here to here, hit the enter key. It measured the wall. It's 10 feet high by 5.83 feet. I need 87 masonry units that are 8 by 12, right, on this particular wall. If I go to the project measurements, I see that information there too, right? That wall tool is one of my favorite ones. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You can get lots of goodies with just doing one measurement with that one. All right.
Darius, what does a markup tool do? I've had a few questions.
The markup tool, essentially what you can do is, let's say, for example, you want to bring somebody's attention to something because there's some details there, right? Let's say, for example, the poche on this wall, I believe, represents concrete, but it could actually be asking for cinder block, right? CMU. So by doing that markup tool and drawing around it, I can tell somebody that, oops, I put two of them. I can put some text next to it. Yeah, stuck in there. That's all right. I'm gonna go in here. I'll clean that up in a minute. I want to say wall is CMUs, right? You can drag that around there, drag this away, delete it, drag this away, delete it, right? So I can basically tell anybody that needs to know, although the architect post-shaded that as like poured in concrete, it's actually CMU.
So the markup tool does not, it's not actually a measurement. It's just a way to.
Yeah, it's just
Show
basically to communicate to other people information that they need to know regarding the construction of that particular project.
I'm going to go ahead and start the Q&A process now that you're showing screen, Darius, just in case that there's room to share visually. I'm going to go ahead and share already existing questions, just in case others have the same question in common. We have here a question from David. Is there a plan to recognize sheets so that you don't have to rename them? Because some plans have over 150 pages and renaming it can really be time consuming.
That's a really, really good question. So the plans that we have for future versions of Takeoff tool would include what we would call AI and ML capabilities, right? In down the road on our product roadmap that it would look for, because architects usually put the sheet name somewhere in the bottom corner over there, for it to recognize it and then ask, for example, ask the user, do you want us to automatically rename the sheets for you, right? So there are plans in the work to make that happen.
Perfect. We have a question from Darwin. Thanks, Darwin, for your feedback. His question was, well, how can we measure paint, right? The areas that would require paint. What is the name of that tool?
It is your wall tool, actually, right? So that's when you put in, let's say, for example, the height of the wall. The height of the wall is 9 feet. Okay, just if you wanted to do paint, right? And you didn't care about like drywall and all those things, you can go click set. Right? If I do this, just right there, okay, it tells me that's 125 square feet. Now, that 125 square feet is on one side. So if you have to paint both sides, you just double that up.
Perfect. Nice and easy. Thanks, Darius. And lastly, so we can be respectful of everyone's time, we have a question is, if there is going to be a feature part of Takeoff Core that possibly subcontractors can highlight specific items. So for example, their question was, can they highlight a smoke detector? And is it possible to find all the smoke detectors within the prints at the same time?
So that is also about a particular feature that we'll be working on down the road. When I say we're going to have a version of Takeoff that's going to have AI and ML capabilities. So what we'll be looking for is allowing users to say, now this is going to come down the road, right? But like, for example, if you know that this was a symbol for a fire detection device, you would basically put a bounding box around it and say, okay, detect this thing for me throughout all the sheets. Now, it'll be basically computer recognition. So then it'll give you a list of a percentage of confidence, right? We found a symbol like this throughout all the sheets. You know, it'll tell you like for this particular one, 85% confident it's the correct thing. So you still have to go and manually check with your eyes and validate that it's correct, correct or not. But like I said, that's capability we'll be building down the road, right? So you have to stay tuned for that one.
Perfect. And definitely, I know that we have lots of wish lists, right, of new features that our subcontractors have provided us. And your feedback is of tremendous value. Because of your feedback is the reason why we can build and become innovative and just make Takeoff Core better. So thank you so much for everyone who did participate in the Q&A section. Users such as David and Tammy and Brian here that have participated in today's webinar. Thank you so much for your feedback. We've provided answers to your questions. Thank you so much, Jeff, as well. And I'm going to go ahead and share screen so we can have a recap. Let me go ahead and do so. Perfect. We completed our Q&A and our concluding message. We do encourage for subcontractors that have not become Premier yet, that have not upgraded your account, to really take the opportunity to do so before the 16th of this month. As of the 16th and right now, like between right now, it's the 16th. If you become Premier, we're going to provide you Takeoff Core for free for 1 year. And Takeoff Core, its worth is $6.99. And by you upgrading to Premier now, you get the Takeoff solution for free. So I really do recommend. We have lots of subcontractors that are taking on this offer because it will complete your end-to-end bid management cycle and process. After the 16th, we're going to have a different new limitation on Takeoff Core. It will be a standalone product, but we'll provide you more information as the date approaches. So definitely take on this deal. It's 100% worth it. It'll complement your bids and it'll reduce time by 50%. So if we don't have any additional questions, on behalf of PlanHub's team, we wanted to thank you so much for your time and your participation today. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.